If anyone asked Lily Greenleaf how she ended up buried waist-deep in the school garden, she would have said it was the most natural thing in the world. Of course, she hadn't meant to get stuck. At first, she'd only knelt among the patchy marigolds, poking around for secret messages in the root systems, just in case the forest had sent her something. She didn't hear Samantha Carter shriek until it was much too late. "Ill! Worms!" Samantha flapped her hands as if shooing away a ghost, and the rest of the class clustered behind her, forming a safety barricade of tiny sneakers and suspicious noses. Miss Evelyn Grace hurried over, her scarf fluttering behind her like a worried flag. "Lily, are you all right in there?" Lillian looked up. The late morning sun caught her hair, bronze and tangled as moss, and she squinted at the teacher. "The dirt is very good, Miss Grace," she said. "It has a lot of memories." Samantha wrinkled her entire face. "You're supposed to look at the worms, not be the worm." Kai Grayson lingered at the edge of the group, notebook clutched tight. He didn't say anything, but he was drawing Lily's legs, already shading them the color of damp tree bark. Miss Grace suppressed a smile, squatting to Lily's level. "We do love your gardening enthusiasm, but perhaps next time we only dig with our hands?" Lily nodded, and, with some effort, extracted herself from the mud. The earth left smudges on her shins, but she wiped them off with a gentleness reserved for old friends. "Sorry," she said, and patted the spot where she'd been. "Thank you." On the walk back inside, Samantha marched with her arms crossed. "If you're going to be a worm, at least be a nice one," she muttered, but not so quietly that Lily couldn't hear. Lily trailed behind, glancing back at the garden beds. She thought she spied the glint of a beetle waving from under a leaf. Maybe, she hoped, the message from the forest had simply gotten lost in transit. She'd check again tomorrow. Inside, the classroom buzzed with activity and the sticky scent of glue sticks. Kai met Lily's gaze and, shy but hopeful, slid his drawing across the table. Her legs were roots, branching beneath the playground like a secret labyrinth. Lily smiled. It was the first time she'd ever liked a portrait of herself. While the others fussed with markers and construction paper, Lily perched at the window, chin in her palms, and let her eyes drift over the asphalt and chain-link fences to the wild chaos of green just past the soccer field. Butterflies, sulphurs, monarchs, a brave swallowtail, darted between weedy clover and the exhaust fume shimmer above the parking lot. Sometimes she wondered how they could bear it, out here in the human world, without the shelter of the deep woods. "Lily," Miss Grace was at her side, voice soft. "We're making habitat dioramas for Science Day. Would you like to help Kai with his forest scene?" "I don't need to look up what a forest looks like." But she scooched her chair closer. She and Kai worked together in a hush. He glued scraps of brown felt for tree trunks, while she frilled the green tissue paper into canopies. She snipped tiny mushroom shapes for the undergrowth, arranging them in a circle. Kai raised his eyebrows when she started gluing threads of moss to the cardboard floor. "It's for the fairy ring," she explained. Kai considered this, then nodded. "Cool," he said, and drew a tiny black swallowtail in between the paper trees. The butterfly's wings looked so real, Lily wanted to touch them. "I like how you draw things the way they feel, not just how they look." Kai smiled without showing his teeth, a rare movement, but a real one, and pushed the diorama forward for her inspection. Around them, Samantha and her crew had abandoned their wetlands build for a glue stick sword fight. Miss Grace clapped her hands, summoning order like a magician. "Presentations, everyone. Why don't you start, Samantha?" She held up her marsh, complete with plastic frogs and a crocodile that definitely never saw a Massachusetts pond. She read from a note card in a high, clear voice. Lily tuned out most of the words, watching instead how the sunlight illuminated dust motes above Miss Grace's desk, how the old radiator creaked like tree limbs in winter. When it was their turn, Kai let Lily do the talking. She pointed out each layer: moss, mushrooms, the hollow under the roots for foxes and beetles. She explained how oak trees talk to each other through the ground, sharing mornings and sometimes even food. Miss Grace smiled, like she already knew this somehow. "That's lovely, Lily. How do you know so much about trees?" She shrugged. "They remember things. You just have to listen." The class giggled, but not unkindly. She supposed they thought I was making it up. That was fine. Most things made sense to me only after I said them out loud anyway. Later, during quiet reading time, Lily watched the schoolyard through the trembling glass. The swallowtail from Kai's drawing had found the battered lilac bush and was testing its wings, delicate as promises. Lily pressed her palm to the cool window and wondered, not for the first time, what year the forest would finally reclaim this place. The thought made her heart trill, light and nervous, like a bird's call in fog. Behind her, Miss Grace set a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You know, I saved something for you." She pulled a book from her satchel. On the cover was a painted girl, her legs tangled in roots, her hair a wild nest of twigs. Lily opened to the first page and felt something flutter inside her, not quite homesick, not quite hope. Maybe, she thought, if she paid enough attention, the world might one day feel natural after all. Samantha, to everyone's surprise, sidled up to Lily's corner during the first recess bell. "So, do trees, talk to you?" she said, less snide than she probably meant. Lily considered. Not in words, more like dreams or music. Or how you know someone's staring at you. Kai had trailed after them, sketchbook tucked under his arm. "What do you mean like dreams?" he asked, voice low and expectant. Lily's hands, always restless, twisted a pencil shavings curl into a miniature spiral. She wanted to tell them, not everything. She could almost hear her mother's warning words tight under her ribs, the way secrets vibrated in the roots when a storm came close, but enough to make them understand. Her hand pressed flat on the playground mulch. "If you stand very still, you can feel it." She closed her eyes. Sometimes the ground remembers what it was before, and it's almost like being tickled. Kai glanced at Samantha, who rolled her eyes, but not as deep as usual. "Show us," Samantha dared. So Lily did. She led them to the edge of the playground's boundary, where the birches were kept in a line by paint-marked survey stakes. "Here," she said, and crouched, beckoning them close like a conjurer. Kai copied her pose, earnest and wide-eyed. Samantha hesitated, flicked a glance over her shoulder for witnesses, then knelt too, knees to the gritty earth. "Now listen, but not with your ears." Lily spread her fingers and pressed her palm to the soil. She reached with her attention, the way she'd been taught, letting the riot of shouting, running kids drop away. She felt the pulse of the sap in the birch tree, the twitch of a beetle's legs, the faint, sifting memory of winter frost tight in the bark. And maybe, for the first time, she wanted to share it. She wanted to open her palm and let the green hunger through, right there in the open, where even Samantha could see it for real. She pulled at the memory the way her mother had shown her. The dryad magic buzzed at her fingertips. If she called it, she could make the birch's catkins bloom out of season, With a look, she could draw the buds open, soft as kitten fur. Shock the others with proof. Do it, a voice in her mind urged. Show them you're not lying. Show them you're made of more. But then, another voice, older and sharper, slotted into place. Her mother's, the last thing she'd said before the city swallowed them both up. People do not always welcome what they do not understand, little seedling. You must keep it safe, even from your friends. Lily let the magic tremble just below her skin. Instead, she scooped up a handful of earth, crumbling it between her fingers. Here, she said to Kai, look how the roots braid together. Kai peered close, breathing in the humus smell with reverence. Oh, he said softly, I get it.
Kai peered close, breathing in the humus smell with reverence. Oh, he said softly, I get it. It's all connected. Samantha, less impressed, kicked at the mulch. Is this like a nature nerd thing or a religion? Neither, Lily said, smiling into her dirt-stained hand. It's just how things are. But later, when the others had wandered back to the slides and swings, Lily returned to the birch. She pressed her palm to its peel-white trunk and whispered, Thank you. The tree offered back a shiver of welcome, a promise that no secret was ever wasted if it rooted in the right place. She imagined her mother somewhere in the endless city and hoped she'd feel it too. At dismissal, Kai lingered by the door. Want to walk home together? He asked, not quite looking at her. Lily nodded. On the sidewalk, the shadows of the chain-link fence made a river of diamonds, and the air glittered with the day's leftover magic. Lily thought of the future. New soil, new roots, new friends, and let herself hope that maybe a secret was safest when it was shared just a little at a time. Science was next. Miss Grace traded her scarf for a white lab coat, which Lily thought made her look less like herself and more like a frightened pigeon. The room smelled sharply of rubbing alcohol and plastic, brittle compared to the earth-dark garden outside. Today was habitats, again but properly, with posters and handouts printed in affirming colors. Lily watched as Miss Grace drew perfect lines between producers, consumers, and decomposers, linking each with cartoon arrows and silly faces. She said energy flow a lot, as if the world was a faucet and everything ran on the same grid. Lily squinted at her worksheet. Insects eat leaves, worms eat dead things. It was right, but in a way that missed everything. The leaves didn't mind losing a piece now and then. It helped keep the light soft and the air moving. Worms gossiped as they chewed, and if you listened at the right hour, you could hear their laughter in the gaps between raindrops. Her hands itched to fix the chart, but her pencil made only blunt, clumsy trails. She tried to explain to her table, Kai, Samantha, plus a new boy who wanted to be called Spike, who kept drawing sharks on his arms with ballpoint pen. Forests don't use arrows. They just remember. If something dies, it sings a song for the new things. Spike shrugged. Bet it stinks. No, it's nice, like bananas when they turn yellow, or like wet rocks. Samantha smirked. Lily thinks dirt has feelings, she reported, but her voice lacked its normal venom, as if she was too busy coloring in a billy goat to summon a truly good insult. Kai considered. Maybe it's like when you're sad, but then you draw about it, he said, blue eyes flickering. The sadness gets recycled into something else. Lily wanted to hug him, but she wasn't sure if humans did that unless someone was crying. Afterwards, they watched a documentary about rainforest canopies, narrated by a British man with a voice like wind in high branches. On the screen, monkeys and orchids spiraled around each other, pink and gold against the sun. The class lost interest after the sloths didn't fight anything, but Lily watched until the credits, swallowing the sounds of faraway heat. She wondered if it was possible to dream yourself into another time zone. Lunch was more complicated. They ate under the harsh fluorescence, everything beige and loud. Lily traded her applesauce cup for Kai's celery sticks. "You can have the peanut butter too," he whispered, conspiratory, and they made forts from carrot sticks and bread crusts. Samantha joined in, suggesting design changes. When Spike tried to crush their tower with a meatball, Lily speared it with her spork and returned it, unscathed, to his lunch tray. Even Spike looked impressed. After lunch, they had structured play. Most of the class drew cats or princesses, but Lily glued moss to an empty milk carton and made a tiny cradle for a grasshopper. She told Kai the time a caterpillar fell asleep in her hair and woke up as a moth 3 days later. He said that was awesome, and Lily glowed, even after Samantha pointed out it was probably just a dream. The last lesson was social studies. Miss Grace read a story about city parks and how they helped balance nature in urban settings. There was a black and white photo of a linden tree growing through a crack in the sidewalk, and Lily pressed her thumb against it, wishing she could touch the bark. Miss Grace saw. "That tree is still alive," she said, smiling. "I walk past it every morning on my way here." "Does it remember you?" asked Lily. "I hope so," Miss Grace said, a little too quietly. The bell rang. They packed up slow, dragging time. Outside, parents and older siblings clustered in loose tribes near the playground fence. One by one, her classmates peeled away. Spike-haired Spike, his dad waiting with a motorcycle helmet bigger than his whole head. Samantha with her mother, who wore pink sunglasses and called out, "Sammy Bean," loud enough to make 3 seagulls take flight. Kai, who lingered at the curb, looking back and forth between Lily and the crosswalk. Lily waited. For a moment, she was completely alone. Then, the familiar, careful footsteps behind her. Her mother, human disguise all in place. Brown coat, green scarf, and in her hair, the smallest twist of ivy if you looked at just the right angle. "Did you bloom today?" her mother whispered, as they walked together. "Not yet," Lily said, but the day felt like it was storing up blossoms for tomorrow. Kai waved from the bus, Lily waved back, and her mother took her hand. Already the lowering sun was weaving gold threads between the treetops and the power lines, and the city felt, if not exactly like home, at least like it was humming to the same tune. They walked together slow, the sidewalk's cracks filled with dandelions and a brand new streak of green. The way to the forest took them through 3 crosswalks, down a hill of cracked old stairs, and past the sweet gutter stink of a sweet bakery. Lily always kept count of the turns. But the last stretch, through the fence where the city park met the real woods, slipped straight out of time. Her mother got quieter the closer they came. At the fence, she paused, searching the shadows with a careful gaze. Then they ducked through. Inside, the world changed. The maples went up forever, leaf crowns noisy with wind. Evening sunlight slid cool and honey-thick through the trunks, the ground padded with last year's leaves and everything that had come before. Lily could taste the old song on the air, a tangled melody that never fully faded. Her mother smiled, but serious. "You remembered to listen. That's good. Did anything happen today?" Lily considered. "Samantha called me a worm. A nice worm, though. I almost made the birch tree bloom, but I didn't." Her mother bent so they were eye to eye. "You wanted to show them?" "No," Lily said. "I wanted them to know." She was quiet. "Is that bad?" "Not bad, just dangerous. The world doesn't always welcome what's new." Lily hugged herself, shivering. "I know." They followed a secret path, its signposts invisible to most, a missing patch of ivy here, a crow feather at the fork, the soft click of a hidden stream under the rocks. Soon the city fell away. Here the green was thick as breath. The trees, these trees, were awake, and they knew me. Lily ran her hand along a mossy trunk, feeling the bark shift beneath her touch, old laughter flicking through her fingers. "Will I ever go back?" she asked, meaning the deeper wild, the place they'd left behind. Her mother sighed. Maybe, maybe not. Roots grow where they're planted, but sometimes they wander too. Lily wanted to believe that. She wanted to believe the city wasn't just a cage disguised as an adventure. They reached the clearing, the one that belonged to their kind. Someone had left a ring of stones around the old stump, a gift or a warning. Lily knelt at the center, closed her eyes, and let the hums soak in. The roots below curled around her ankles, gentle and strong.
Her mother sat beside her. "Tell me about your friends," she said. Lily told her about Kai and his drawings, about Samantha's sharp tongue and her strange, twisted kindness, about Spike and the meatball, and the way everyone laughed when the fortress fell. As she talked, the forest listened, damping out the city noise and turning her words into something softer, safer. "Can I show them?" Lily asked, after a while. "Not everything, just a little. The good parts." Her mother's face was careful, but the leaf-green shimmer in her eyes said she understood. "Only if you trust them, and only if you're sure you want them to see." Lily nodded. She understood the risk, but she was tired of secrets rotting behind her ribs. Maybe a friend who didn't know her roots wasn't a friend at all. They left the clearing as dusk folded itself around the trees, the air suddenly sweet with rain. Back on the city side, the world felt smaller, but for the first time, it also felt a little less lonely. They climbed the stairs and met the city lights. Her mother squeezed her hand, and Lily squeezed back, a silent promise traveling from skin to skin. That night, Lily dreamed of her school, but the walls were gone, and the hallways had grown wild. Moss covered the desks, vines turned the ceilings to green cathedrals. She wandered the new forest with Kai and Samantha, and neither of them seemed afraid. In the morning, she woke with leaf crumbs in her bed and a green smear on her knee, and did not feel the need to hide it. When she got to class, she found Kai had drawn a picture of 3 children, 2 humans and a girl with roots for legs, standing together in a bright, impossible garden. Lily smiled and said, "Can I show you something after school?" And when her friends said yes, the yes sounded like the crackle of wet leaves, like all the magic of an old world waiting to grow into the new. That afternoon, Lily led them out past the playground, down the chain-link boundary's back slope to where the trees stood closer together, claiming a little more every year from the city's edge. Kai's stride bounced as he followed, and Samantha kept a few paces behind, phone in hand, pretending she wasn't interested, but still there. At the fence, Lily hesitated until both friends stood beside her, then ducked through the same narrow gap she'd always used. When they came out the other side, the sound of the playground faded until only the hush of wind and the scratch of squirrel claws remained. "Wow," said Kai, stopping to look up into the vault of leaves. The light here was green-gold and alive. "It's like a real forest." Dirt caked on her hands, Lily picked away over the half-buried curving roots, the path easy to see if you trusted your feet more than your eyes. Past the first line of defense, tangles of bramble and poison ivy, which she warned Kai and Samantha to step around, they found the clearing. The ring of stones from last night still circled the stump in the middle, though something had nudged 2 of the rocks aside. For a moment, all 3 children stood there, listening. There was birdsong and the slow settling of leaves overhead, and beneath it all, the faintest pulse of something old and sweet. "So what's the surprise?" asked Samantha, folding her arms tight. Her jean jacket was too thin for the chilly shade, and she shivered once. Lily squatted by the stump, brushing away a veil of fallen leaves. "You have to close your eyes. Both of you." Kai closed his instantly. Samantha rolled hers but did it anyway, sighing for effect. Lily took a deep breath. She pressed her palms flat to the worn ring of wood, and for a split second, she let go of all the pretending, all the careful hiding. She let the wildness in her bloom, just for a moment. The stump shivered under her hands. In a heartbeat, a twist of green unfurled along its dead edge. Delicate, neon bright, leaves as soft as mothwing. The moss came next,
cresting the cracks and seams as if a waterfall of velvet was pouring up, not down. 2 trembling buds popped from the side nearest Samantha. I heard a sharp, soft gasp. "Open," she said, and both friends did. Kai blinked, mouth open in an O. Samantha's hands went half to her face before she caught herself. "That wasn't there before," Kai said. He reached, hesitated, then gently touched a leaf. "It's warm." Samantha crouched, picking at the new moss. "You did this?" she asked, not quite ready to believe. Lily nodded, heart pounding. "I can't do it often, but the forest helps if you ask the right way. Sometimes the city tries to stop it, but..." She shrugged, not sure how to explain the hunger in a seed, the belligerence of life itself. Kai glanced at Samantha, then at Lily. "Does it hurt?" he whispered. "Only if I fight it. It's like homesickness. Sometimes it's a little like flying." Samantha's jaw set. "Does my backyard do this? With the moss on the fence?" "If you want it to." And this time, Samantha let the smallest smile through. They stayed until the sun started to edge down behind the houses. When Lily finally let the wildness go, the colors of the moss faded a bit, settling for a more ordinary green. But the leaves stayed, as real as bones. "Can I tell anyone?" said Samantha suddenly, on the way back up the hill. Lily weighed the risk and shook her head. "Not yet. Maybe one day." Samantha nodded, which in her language meant she wouldn't breathe a word. At the fence, Kai stopped, searching Lily's face. "Will you show us again tomorrow?" "Maybe," Lily said, ducking through the gap and back into the world of chain link and blacktop. She didn't know if she'd ever have the courage to bring her mother here, to let her see how the wildness could break through the city and settle, moss soft, on her friends. But for now, it was enough. At home, she found her mother in the kitchen, hands wet with dishwater, the song on her lips, low and older than the building around them. "Bloom?" her mother asked. And Lily, arms scratched and heart light, told the truth. "A little bit." Her mother smiled. "It's a start." That night, Lily drew maps of all the secret wild places in the city. Abandoned lots, growing cracks, the place behind the library where weeds outnumbered books. The map had no arrows. It didn't need them. Everything on it leaned and tangled and touched, connected as roots underground. She wrote Kai and Samantha's names at the edges, not sure if she was marking territory or offering it up as a gift. She tucked the map into her desk with the rest of her treasures, sure it would be safe there. In her dreams, the city's buildings sprouted branches, and the playground's rubber mulch turned to living clover, and her friends waited for her under a willow whose leaves shimmered like laughter. Lily woke with a tangle of roots in her hair and the taste of hope on her tongue, and when she went to school, she made sure to step off the pavement whenever she could, and to look for the secrets hidden in the soft earth beneath her feet. Kai had unlocked a new tower defense game, and the pixels on his cracked screen drew Samantha in like a moth to a porch light. They huddled close on the bench by the jungle gym, heads bent together, voices rising and falling in chorus. "Place it there. No, there. Ooh, boss level." Lily watched for 2 full minutes before she realized nobody else cared about the way the willow branches across the field shivered or how the breeze at the edge of the parking lot carried an early scent of rain. She set off by herself, tracing the playground's painted line to the farthest fence. The world beyond the fence was wildish and uneven, with tufts of switchgrass and thickets where the city forgot to mow. Most of the other kids saw only rusty candy wrappers and long, lashing burdock leaves. Lily saw a parade. Ants hauling a beetle shell like a carnival float, spiders knitting flexible ladders from fence post to fence post, a murder of crows jeering at a lone Cooper's hawk. She pressed her face to the cold wire, wishing she could shed the surface of her skin and just seep out into the earth. Eventually, Kai and Samantha noticed her absence and followed, still trading the phone. Samantha called twice before she caught up. "Lily, you're going to get in trouble." But she sounded more curious than frustrated. "Don't you want to play?" asked Kai, holding out the phone.
We need a third. The bugs get too strong in the next level. Real bugs pulsed through the grass at Lily's feet, awake and perfect. She wondered if the ones on the phone screen knew they were imitations. Maybe later, she said, turning from the fence. There's milkweed, see? She led them to the patch, only a few yards away. The monarchs lay eggs on the undersides, and the caterpillars eat the leaves even though it's poisonous. If you watch, you can find the tiny ones before they even hatch. Samantha shrugged, not seeing the point. Butterflies are nice, I guess. My grandma used to grow them on her balcony. Lily ran a fingertip gently down a ribbed green leaf. Most of them die before they get big enough to fly, but the ones that live remember the place they crawled. They come back. Kai peered closer. There was a single pearl-pale dome clinging to the mid-vein, almost invisible. He snapped a photo before the wind could shake it loose. Maybe I can draw it later. Would you show me again if I forget how it looks? Okay. And she felt the affirmations settle in her chest, heavy and good. Samantha had already wandered back to the playground, phone raised high as if searching for signal. If you're not coming, stay where we can see you, she ordered. Otherwise, Miss Grace will have a fit. Lily smiled and watched her friend go, curls bouncing, loud even from far away. She liked that about Samantha. Even when she was stubborn, she was a bright spot in the gray. When the bell called them back to class, all three lined up at the door, dust and grass stains marking their knees. Miss Grace met them just inside, eyes lingering a little longer on Lily's smudge-streaked palms. "Did the outside treat you well?" she asked. Lily nodded, then whispered, "There's a monarch egg. It'll hatch soon. Should I tell someone or let it be?" Miss Grace's answer was gentle but certain. Sometimes the best thing is to let the world surprise you. All afternoon, Lily carried the secret of the egg in her mind. When the classroom buzzed with busy work, she'd sneak glances out the window to the milkweed patch, hoping to catch a glimpse of orange or white. When Kai passed a note to her, a careful sketch of the underside of a leaf, shading just so, she felt something like gratitude ripple through her. Samantha's voice interrupted the spell, as it often did. "Tomorrow, we're getting to the boss round for real. You gotta help me beat it or I'll have to ask Lily and she'll make everything about worms and weeds." Lily stuck out her tongue in reply, but the moment felt easy and right. After school, Lily's mother waited at the curb, green scarf wound tight against the chill. "How was your day?" she asked, tracing her arm with a thumb. "Did you find something new?" "Monarch egg, probably laid since Monday, and Samantha almost let me show her the fairy ring, but I didn't push." Her mother nodded. "Good girl," she said. "Roots grow slow, but they hold fast." They walked home side by side, weaving up the hill through the scent of maple tar and wind. At the corner, they passed a city worker setting out small saplings, their thin trunks cradled in wire cages. Lily watched as the man zipped each sapling in tight blue plastic. "Will they remember home?" she asked once they'd passed, her voice small no one else could hear. Her mother's smile tilted. "They'll remember something of it, even here." Lily dug the toe of her shoe into a patch of moss escaping the curb. "Everyone else just walks past. I don't get it. Why don't they see?" Her mother considered, eyes gone far for a moment. "Most people aren't taught to listen, not the way we are." She knelt to Lily's height, voice a shade softer. "Their senses are tuned to different music. The world is full of signals. They just pick other ones." Lily scuffed harder, watching grit tumble loose into the gutter. "I wish I could play the games with them. It looks fun. But it feels like I'm underwater, like I'm not really there." Her mother straightened, hands in her coat pockets, gaze gentle and sad, all mixed at once. "It's hard when you live between two worlds." "I want to stay," Lily said, barely more than a whisper, "but sometimes I miss it, the real woods,
the old place. Every day I feel it less and less, and I'm scared I'll forget." Her mother wrapped an arm around her, squeezing tight. "You won't forget. You're part of both places now." She let the words hang in air. "Your father used to say it's not an accident. Maybe you're supposed to teach them to listen too, even if it's just a little." Lily thought about it for a bit, then let it click into place like the last piece of a seed husk. That night, while her mother made soup and sang to the steam, Lily stared out her window at the streetlights. Down below, a neighbor kid rode a hoverboard in circles, phone held high and shining blue on his face. He rolled past a patch of dandelion clock gone to seed, scattering fluff through the shadowy light. None of the kids stopped to watch. Lily pressed her hand to the glass, then whispered, "Thank you," even though she didn't know if the dandelion could hear her. Maybe it could. Maybe everything did, deep down. She tried to explain it to her mother at dinner, the way the yearning twisted in her ribs, how it was half pain and half something dazzling, the opposite of pain. It's like I want more forest than forest, like I miss something I never got to see, something before even your before. Her mother nodded. Soup spoon paused. "That's the yearning. It's old. It belongs to us." "But I want them to see too," said Lily. "Kai almost does, but Samantha, it's like she doesn't even believe dirt is real until she falls in it. A long time ago, we might have stayed hidden, pushed everyone out. We can't do that anymore. You can let them in. You just have to be careful with the magic. Not every heart is safe for it." Lily slurped noodles, pondering. Then, "Do you think it's okay to show just a leaf or one flower?" Her mother reached across with thorn-thin fingers and patted her hand. "If it's your choice and you trust them, it's okay. Just never show everything all at once." She went to bed with the sound of her mother's voice and the scent of green onions in her pillow. She dreamed of her new friends following her through row on row of cycle-locked bikes, through playgrounds and across the city's stitched-together patches of wild. In the dream, they could all hear it, the old song, the secret laughter in the roots, and nobody was left behind. In the morning, she woke to a fog so thick that it blurred the parking lines on the asphalt. At the bus stop, Kai met her with a new sketch, this one of the monarch caterpillar, now twice as long and striped in paintbox yellow and black. Samantha stomped over, phone in hoodie, and even she paused to admire the drawing before pretending not to care.
When they got to school, Lily wanted to tell them about the melody she'd heard outside her window last night, the one she swore belonged to a dandelion, but she could already feel her mother's warning, never everything all at once. So she just said, "I think the egg will hatch today." Kai's face glowed, and even Samantha looked at the window. For a moment, all three breathed in together, watching the dew on the glass catch light like a billion tiny lanterns. At recess, they checked the milkweed. Sure enough, a miniature caterpillar, soft and wiggling, clung to the leaf with its impossible feet. "Told you," said Lily, proud and bashful. Samantha poked it gently with a pencil. "We should name it," she announced. "All pets get names." Kai considered, pencil tapping against his chin. "Something strong," he said. Samantha grinned, all teeth. "Boss Level." So, for a week, Boss Level became the secret mascot of their trio. Every day at recess, they checked its progress. And sometimes, when they were certain nobody watched, Lily showed them how to hum a slow tune that made the caterpillar eat just a little faster, as if time itself was cheering it on. The ache for the deeper woods never left, but every day, with every laugh and shared secret, the city's wild edges felt more like belonging and less like exile. She decided she could live with it, for now. After all, even the homesickest trees put out butts, and even dandelions found ways to root through cement. And if someday she changed the world just a little, made it softer or stranger or more awake than before, well, that would be worth the wanting. The weeks marched forward,
each day stacking up like bricks in a handmade wall. Sun, chill, rain, the wet whiff of new mulch, the inevitable bruised blue of someone's knees at recess. Boss level molted through instars at speeds that startled even Lily. Each time the skin sloughed off, a ghost layer left behind sugar thin. Samantha insisted on gloving up. "I don't do bug slime," she said, but she always peered closer than she needed to, and collected the shed husks in a plastic sandwich bag. By the time the caterpillar hung from its last silk thread, the whole class was invested. Miss Grace, to her credit, let the monarch's transformation hijack the curriculum. The chrysalis, green shot with delicate gold, a tiny lamp on a stick, became the North Star for every lesson. Math, prediction charts, art, watercolor portraits of the boss suite. And a big, messy diorama with hand-cut cardboard leaves. Miss Grace recited facts in cheerful bursts, like, "Did you know a monarch can fly 2,000 miles? But Lily felt the migration in her bones, a yearning that vibrated through the whole room. Even Spike started bringing in bug stories. He didn't say gross out loud anymore. Kai drew the chrysalis every day, each sketch a little more careful, as if he could coax the butterfly to hatch early by the power of pencil alone. Lily tried to capture the process in words, but found herself distracted by the hush, the way the whole world seemed to bow around the waiting. When the butterfly finally emerged, a Friday, of course, right before lunch, Miss Grace let them skip their reading block. The wings, furled and battered at first, unfolded by miracle increments. Lily found her own fingers fluttering in sympathy, palms damp, afloat with unnameable glee. Samantha, hovering near the front of the crowd, whispered, "It's kind of ugly," and then just as the monarch stretched its full pattern, corrected herself. "Whoa, that's insane." Miss Grace nodded. "It's still learning how to be itself," she murmured. Lily took a turn holding the branch while the monarch's feet worked their grip. The legs were so delicate, she was afraid her pulse might shatter them, but the butterfly was stronger than it looked. For a moment, its wings cast stained glass shapes across her hands. She wanted to cry, or to shout, or to dig up the playground and plant it here as a garden forever. Instead, she said, "Maybe it remembers hatching last year." And Kai, hearing, smiled in a way that didn't fade even when the bell rang. They released the butterfly together. Lily, Kai, Samantha, boss level perched on Lily's finger, antennae trembling. She lifted her hand to the sky, not wanting to let go, but also desperate to see it fly. The wings shocked the air, orange and black as warning paint, and the butterfly was gone, straight up, over the roofs and out of sight. "Did it even get to say goodbye?" asked Samantha, almost tender. Lily felt her chest fill and empty at once. "It has a lot to do," she said. "It will remember us anyway." Kai made a note in his sketchbook. "Maybe it'll come back as a ghost and haunt the milkweed," he suggested, just strange enough to please Lily. She grinned at him, and for a minute, it felt like the whole trio had been born for this one small wonder. That night, Lily dragged her mother out to the old fence line. The sun was soft, her mother's eyes softer still. "The butterfly hatched," Lily reported. "It's gone now, but it was perfect." Her mother, settling onto a fallen log, listened as Lily described the shed skins and the surprise of the gold-dotted chrysalis, the pause before the wings unfurled, the impossibility of orange in a world mostly brown and green. When Lily finished, they just sat together, not speaking, while the shadows crept and cicadas tested their evening songs. After a while, her mother said, "Do you know what this means?" Lily shook her head, but there was laughter in her mouth. "Maybe that if you wait long enough, even something trapped gets to leave?" Her mother nodded. "Or maybe that you can transform here, even if everyone is watching." She tucked that away, a new secret, but one she was willing to share when the right moment came. She pressed her ear to a tree trunk, heard the low, steady pulse of growing, and let herself believe for the first time that the city could be a place for miracles. In the classroom, Kai started drawing new pictures. Lily with green racing up her arms, Samantha and Spike arm-wrestling roots, himself 10 stories tall with butterflies perched on his head. Each day, Lily added something to the drawing: a curling tendril, a stray mushroom, the suggestion of moss underfoot, until the borders between her world and theirs blurred to nothing. And when the next spring came, and the milkweed leafed out, and a tiny monarch egg appeared, not quite boss level, but close enough, all three of them were there to see it happen. This time, Samantha brought a camera, and Spike brought sugar water, and Kai drew the whole thing in colored pencil, bright as real wings. When the new butterfly took flight, it didn't say goodbye either, but Lily had learned that some things were too wild for farewells, and some hearts could be home, even if they belonged to more than one place. She wiped the green from her fingers, felt the roots under her feet, and ran with her friends through the melting air, both human and not, both now and always. Most days after that, Lily let herself be both parts, the quiet kid with the weird knowledge and the secret wild thing the city would never quite flatten out. It got easier to bring her friends closer. Sometimes when they played after school, Kai and Samantha would dare each other to eat the weirdest edible flower Lily could point out. "Violets are like lettuce for fancy people," insisted Samantha before gagging theatrically. Kai started showing off his own wild facts in return, like the names of bird songs or how to tell if a feather belonged to a jay or a mourning dove. Even Sam, not to be outdone, researched which mushrooms were safest and which might make your tongue turn blue. No, for real. Once at the edge of the woods, Samantha asked Lily if she could teach her to feel the root language, and Lily tried, though she suspected it only worked when you stopped straining and let it in sideways, like rain through a crack.
There were hard days too. One Monday, the classroom filled with the scent of air fresheners so sharp Lily sneezed until her nose ran. Another time, a substitute teacher told her to use indoor voice, please, even though Lily hadn't said a word out loud. But always after, she found herself pulled to the boundary. The milkweed patch, the overlooked pocket parks, the back playground where the birches stood like a picket line against the city's asphalt tide. She'd leave part of herself behind, a seed or a curl of bark, and wait for the next day to see if anyone noticed. Her mother paid attention to these changes. In the evenings, after homework and supper, they'd walk together, tracing the same loops around their apartment and up the hill to the softer streets. "You're growing into yourself," her mother would say sometimes, not unproudly. "You're weaving both worlds." Lily liked the sound of that. She didn't always feel it was true, but on the best days, she could almost see the two halves join, like the way moss chose both brick and dirt, or how the wild strawberries snaked their runners across chain link with no respect for borders. One Saturday, Kai and Samantha came over for a project. Lily's mother let them loose in the kitchen, and the three of them tried to invent a new kind of granola bar by combining everything they liked best: sunflower seeds, marshmallow, dried cranberries, actual chocolate chips, and a pinch of something Lily snuck in from a jar labeled Spruce Tips Spring. Sam called them forest bricks, ate 3, and immediately regretted it. Kai wrapped his in wax paper and drew a label with all 3 of their names, neat as a store shelf. Lily's mother tested a piece, pronounced it memorable, and let them spend the rest of the afternoon in the park. They took the long way, past the blocks where the older kids hung out, and Lily felt for once that her friends walked with her, not just behind or beside. Kai asked if he could try climbing the biggest tree. Sam bet him 2 forest bricks that he'd chicken out, but Lily showed how to wedge his feet so he'd be safe. From the branches, Kai yelled that he could see the milkweed patch, and also, apparently, a raccoon's butt. That got Samantha up in the tree in 30 seconds flat. But she froze at the first fork, clinging close and wide-eyed. Lily scrambled up after, let Samantha's white-knuckled fist clench her sleeve, and together they watched the city dissolve into patches of green and gold. High above the street, Samantha said quietly, "I always thought it would look different up here." For once, she didn't sound like she was about to argue or brag or poke fun. "It's like the city is just another forest, isn't it?" Lily nodded and shut her eyes, letting her senses fill with the cedar and the hum, the million lives hidden in bark and leaf, and the fleeting warmth of friends sharing a view.
She wondered if this was how her mother felt, or even her mother's mother, all the way back to the wild places people never bothered to remember. After that, everything shifted. Samantha bragged in class about the view from the tree and dared anyone to top it. Kai's drawings went from leafy tunnels to full-on cityscapes, but always with a secret vine or trickle of moss, his way of painting both worlds in one go. Even Miss Grace started calling on Lily more when the subject was nature, and once, when a monarch landed on the windowsill, she winked at Lily like they were both in on the same joke. Lily's mother noticed the change too. She said, "You look less homesick today." And Lily replied, "That's because I'm bringing home with me now." One night, after her mother went to bed, Lily sat at her window watching the breeze stir the sycamores. Somewhere nearby, a fox barked, thin and quick. Lily listened, just the way she'd been taught. And for the first time, she heard something new. Not just the old longing, but a promise. Soft, at the edge of hearing, but growing with every day she let herself belong. She thought about the future then, and wondered how many secrets the city would let her plant before it caught on. She hoped it would take a very long time to find out, because there was still so much to share. Tomorrow, she decided, they'd bring a shovel and dig near the fence. There were rumors of wild ginger if you knew where to look. Maybe, with luck and a little patience, they'd find it. And maybe, if she was brave, she'd show them the little green firefly that lived in the root, just for a second, just enough to prove that magic was real, and always had been. She turned off her light, lay back in her bed, and let dreams of roots and wings carry her forward. In the morning, she would grow a bit more, and maybe teach the world to listen, one friend at a time. As the school year ticked down toward summer break, Lily felt the city squeeze tighter around her, like a pot-bound sapling waiting for someone to set it free. Her mother, seeing the shift, began to comb the web for ways to get back to the wild without traveling across the edge of the world. The solution, at last, Yellowstone. The old place, but different, her mother said, face lit by the laptop's soft glow. Just enough wild left for us to remember. Lily spent the last uncertain days of 4th grade telling herself the trip would untwist the homesick knot in her belly. But as soon as the ticket confirmation hit her mother's inbox, the old ache was replaced by a new quiver. Not just excitement, but also dread. Because this time, she wanted to bring her friends. She rehearsed the question in secret, reciting Kai's and Samantha's names with the same care she'd used to name a new bloom. She waited for the right moment, afraid of what her mother would say, but more afraid of what she wouldn't. One Sunday morning, with the apartment thick with pancake steam and the windows open to let in birdsong, she tried, "What if I brought someone? Not family. I mean, what if I brought friends?" Her mother, caught mid-flip, didn't answer right away. A golden edge of pancake scorched and curled before she rescued it, setting the plate down between them. "It's a big drive," she offered at last. "Out and back. 5 days. That's a long time with humans." Lily traced the syrup on her plate with her fork, watching it pool in the shape of a heart. "I can be normal, for them. Not the whole time, but I want to try." Her mother wiped her hands on the towel, gaze gone distant. "Are you sure? Some things don't hide, even when we want them to." Lily nodded. "That's why I want them near. If it happens, if I mess up, at least they'll know who I'm trying to be first." There was a long pause. Then, "If their parents say yes, so do I." She texted Samantha first, all nerves, expecting an LOL no, or at best, maybe I'll ask. Instead, she replied within 5 minutes. "Road trip? Duh. My mom says I have to promise not to come back with a pet wolf." Lily laughed, hope rising. Kai was trickier. He had never traveled without his parents, and the idea seemed to flatten him, icy blue eyes wider than usual. "Will there be forests?" he asked, like the answer might change everything. "Lots," Lily said, "and geysers, and probably bison and bears." Kai considered, then nodded. "I want to see the place where they filmed that documentary, the one with the pine beetles." 3 days later, it was decided. Samantha's mom supplied enough snacks to feed a small country. Kai's parents handed over a Ziploc of motion lollipops and instructions for what to do if he got lost. Lily's mother thanked each parent in precise, ceremonial phone calls, then made a secret list of emergency supplies, most of them green.
On the morning of the trip, Lily waited at the car with her backpack already loaded. Her mother checked the tires, humming a song that sounded like a warning and a blessing at once. When the others pulled up, Samantha barrel-rolled out of the minivan, arms full of red vines and a battery bank the size of a brick, while Kai trailed behind, his sketchbook and travel pillow taking up most of his torso. "Shotgun!" yelled Samantha, claiming the front seat before anyone could blink. Kai slid in quietly beside Lily, drawing clouds on the fogged back window with his finger. "Have you ever been this far outside the city?" he whispered. "Not since I was little," Lily admitted. The first hours passed in a slow river of road, city blocks thinning to suburbs, then to highways rimmed with wildflowers and the soft green of new summer. Samantha powered through her first bag of candy, narrating every billboard and roadside attraction with game show host Besto. Kai put his headphones in and sketched the sweep of landscape beyond the glass, eyes darting from horizon to page. Lily's mother drove with quiet focus, her hands loose on the wheel, eyes alert for deer or sudden shifts in weather. Sometimes, when she thought the kids weren't listening, she'd sing duets with the wind that rose and dipped between the cracks in the window. By nightfall, they'd made it halfway. The motel was small, the kind with candy-colored doors and a pool covered in green tarp. Samantha roamed the halls in bare feet, daring Kai to tap on every ice machine. Lily and her mother booked a double room, and after the others had crashed, spent an hour watching the moon rise over the parking lot. "Do you think it will be different out there?" Lily asked. "It will be something, but don't forget, sometimes the wildest things are the ones you bring with you." The next day, the land went strange and wide as the sky itself. Grasslands unspooled in endless increments, then rolled upward into pine-thick hills and blue-shadowed canyons. The others grew quiet, Samantha lulled into awe by sheer scale, Kai sketching whole forests without looking down. At the park entrance, a bison crossed the road so close, Lily could have counted the flies on its flank. "Is it safe?" Kai wondered, but his voice was more amazed than afraid. "If you don't mess with it, it won't mess with you, like most things," said Lily's mother. They stopped at a geyser first, the famous one. Crowds clustered around the viewing decks, phones poised, but Lily hardly noticed the racket over the pulse she felt in her feet, a drumming, lower than sound. The landscape felt alive, but not in the soft, leafy way of city parks. This was older, stranger. Even the sulfur air made her want to dig down, to taste the secret root of things. She wandered to the edge of the boardwalk, let her palm hover over a venting patch of earth. "Can you hear it?" she asked, but only Kai was close enough to catch the words. He bent down, palm to ground, then blinked in amazement. "It's buzzing." Lily nodded, a smile flickering to life. That's what happens when the power under the world wants out. Samantha, calling them back for a selfie, caught the last bit, and when she saw their hands pressed to the earth, she rolled her eyes, but then crouched down too. "Man, it's hot," she yelped, but didn't let go. Lily's mother, seeing the three of them, stood a distance off, hands in her jacket pockets, just watching. For a second, she looked almost proud. They hiked a little further, away from the main trails, past signs warning of thin ground and boiling hazards. Lily felt at home in a way she hadn't since the city's edge. She wanted to run, to throw herself into the arms of every wind-warped pine. Instead, she slowed herself, waiting for her friends to catch up. She watched as Samantha spotted a coyote on the ridge, pointing with a chocolate-stained finger and whispering like a pro. Kai turned a piece of broken pine cone into a tiny sculpture, lining the seeds in exact spirals. Each moment, she shared a piece of what she knew. This lichen heals. That bird is a trickster. Here's how the moss will show you true north. And the more she gave away, the less alone she felt. That night, in the tent,
they'd convinced her mother to try real camping, at least for a night. It was cold and perfect. Samantha fell asleep first, her voice trailing into snores. Kai turned his sketchbook to Lily to see. It was the three of them catching fireflies in a field so wild it might have been unmade. Lily smiled. "I miss it less now," she whispered, careful not to wake Samantha. "Me too," said Kai. "Kind of makes you wish everyone could see it." Lily almost said, "Maybe they will," but held the thought close, a seed in her pocket, waiting for the day it would be true. The next morning, they woke to a miracle, a frost ring white as sugar, spinning delicate flowers across the grass that hadn't been there the night before. Samantha poked her head out of the tent and gasped. "Did you do this?" she asked Lily, and there was no mocking in her voice, but only wonder. "No," said Lily, but she wished she had. "Nature likes to surprise you." She stepped out barefoot, danced through the icy petals, and the old yearning was softer now, a promise, not a curse. After breakfast, they packed up camp, trailing home on a current of new jokes and shared graham crackers, and when the city finally reappeared, it felt almost gentle, like a spring rain after a long, wild storm. From then on, the boundary between Lily's worlds got blurrier. Back at school, Samantha bragged to anyone who'd listen about surviving Yellowstone without a bear mauling, but also about the frost flowers, insisting it was magic. Kai made a mural in art class of geysers and bison and 3 kids with arms stretched wide. Even Miss Grace seemed changed. She let Lily keep a jar of wildflowers on her desk, and sometimes, when the class was very quiet, she'd set her hand to the windowsill and just listen. Lily no longer felt the need to hide her hunger for the wild. She wore it openly now, braiding in flowers, teaching her friends the names of every weed in the cracks. The city would always be loud, always a bit crowded, but she was learning how to put down roots in both worlds, to thrive in whatever unlikely ground would have her. At home, her mother watched all this and said, "You're growing fast." Lily smiled, syrup sweet, and said, "You too." She couldn't say for sure what they'd remember in 10 years, or 20, but she knew now that if she ever left the city for good, the wildness would follow, stubborn as dandelions, everywhere she went. At the end of that summer, she dug a small hole at the school fence line and planted a scrap of frostbitten wildflower. She watered it with a wish and left it there for anyone who cared to notice. And when Samantha found the flower, weeks later, she didn't question the magic at all. She just smiled, picked off a dried petal, and tucked it behind Lily's ear. "It looks good on you," Samantha said, and this time, Lily believed her.
As the days merged into autumn, the school year carried on with its usual rhythms. The memory of their Yellowstone adventure grew more distant, but the bond between Lily, Kai, and Samantha remained as strong as ever. They continued to find joy in the simple things, like sharing stories under the oak tree during lunch breaks and exploring hidden pockets of nature in the city. One crisp afternoon, as the leaves painted the sidewalks with hues of gold and crimson, Lily led her friends to a small community garden tucked away in a forgotten corner of the city. The air hummed with the gentle buzz of bees and the distant laughter of children playing. Lily kneeled by a row of sunflowers, their heads bowed in silent reverence, and began to plant a small bouquet of wildflowers. Kai and Samantha watched in quiet admiration, understanding the significance of this moment without the need for words. They knew that this garden, with its tangle of blooms and whispers of untamed beauty, was a sanctuary, a reminder that magic could be found in the most unexpected places. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the garden, Lily stood up and brushed the dirt from her hands. She turned to her friends, a soft smile playing on her lips, and reached out to grasp their hands in a gesture of shared understanding. We may not always have Yellowstone at our doorstep, but we will always have each other. And maybe, just maybe, that's magic enough. And in that moment,
As the last rays of sunlight danced through the leaves and painted the world in hues of magic and wonder, the three friends stood together in silent communion, their hearts intertwined with the wildness that would forever be a part of who they were.